This video is about a mother and her son. The mother launched a campaign on Gofundme to raise money to help her pay for treatment for her son's tumors on his face, and the public's response has been astounding. Amare Stover, from Decatur in Alabama, USA, was born with neurofibromatosis, NF1, a genetic disorder that means tumors can develop anywhere in his body. By the age of 4, Amare had to be fitted with a permanent track tube because the tumors grew into his throat and risked choking him to death. The growths have continued to ensnare his skull, leaving him blind in one eye and with learning difficulties. In addition to twisting and distorting the 8-year-old's face, his swellings are nearly the size of watermelons. Mom Candace Stover, 30, says her son battles stigma every day because of his condition. Candace, a full-time carer, said, "He has tumors all over his head. There are a lot of them and they have grown to be very big, which has twisted his face in the process. He can't see out of his left eye. It's swollen shut because of the tumors and glaucoma. Currently he can see from the right one, but there are tumors there too. The tumors restricted his airway, so he had to have a permanent tracheostomy to make sure he could breathe. They are starting to grow to the size of a watermelon and are at the point where the skin on his face is starting to hang down over his tracheostomy tube. The size of them affects him a lot. He gets made fun of, gets stares from people whenever he goes out in public, and has been called a monster. Some of the children won't play with him or say he is ugly, which makes it really hard. I don't understand why people can't just be respectful."
Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos.
Some adults have asked him where he got his mask from. It's really very hurtful and it only gets worse around Halloween. I tell him that he is just like any other 8-year-old and tell him not to worry because people are mean and not right. In my eyes, he's a very normal 8-year-old. He goes through a lot, but you would never know it. He runs around, loves sports, and plays just like any other child his age. Doctors believe Amare has an extreme form of NF type 1, a genetic disorder that affects 1 in 2,500 people, varying in severity. From 1 month old, a neurologist started working to reduce pressure on Amare's eye, caused by tumors wrapping around his eye socket. Candace said, "When he was born, his left eye was a little swollen. We later found out that he had a glaucoma in his eye and neurofibromatosis. The tumors are in the whole of his facial region, his neck, and also his brain, and his neurologist has told me they would only get bigger over time." In 2012, during an MRI to monitor the growth of his tumors, Amare stopped breathing and had to have permanent breathing apparatus fitted. Candace said, "Doctors gave him a track tube because they thought one day he just wouldn't wake up and would stop breathing in his sleep. Before, he used to snore badly, which was caused by him struggling for breath because of the tumors. Despite having multiple laser treatments, his left eye has swollen completely shut and now he can only see fractionally out of the other. With his sight hastily diminishing in his right eye, doctors have told this family to prepare for the worst." Candace said, "Doctors have recommended that I start learning Braille so that I can teach my son because the tumors growing around his eyes and in his ear canal. They tell me he will most likely lose his sight and hearing due to his condition." Amare's facial difference attracts a lot of attention while out in public, with many strangers staring and making hurtful comments. His mom believes the ignorance is due to people misunderstanding his condition, with many having never heard of neurofibromatosis. Candace said, "I don't mind if people come up and talk to us about his condition, but the staring is really bad. We have a lot of problems from the laughing, the staring, the comments. It's not funny and it makes me really mad, but I can't act how I want to in front of my child. I just try to keep my son as happy and as comfortable as I can. I let him know he doesn't have to worry about anything because I love him." Later this month, Amare will consult with plastic surgeons to see if they can remove some of the tumorous mass around his eyes in a bid to save his sight. Candace said, "I think they are going to try to remove some of the tumors around his eyes so that he can see out of both eyes again. I don't know when they will try with other facial tumors. Doctors have been giving him chemotherapy medication for 5 years to try to shrink the tumors, but nothing has worked so far, but I have to keep hope." Candace, who is a single parent, is fundraising to cover the costs of her son's medical bills, traveling to appointments and basic needs for their family. She said, "His father's is not around, so I have to take care of him since he was 4 months old and have struggled to find a job, funds to pay for his treatment and more. At one point, I lost my home when he needed surgery to have the track and G-tube fitted. I had to move in with a friend. There have been times where I've had to take him 5 times a month to the hospital and I don't have a car, so I have had to beg people for rides and use the free bus when we can. It's hard to find employment because there are a lot of days where, due to my son being on chemo medication, he's too ill to go to school." In her desire to get some of the tumors on his face removed, Candace launched a GoFundMe campaign. She said, "I pray that something can be done." On the GoFundMe page she writes, "I'm raising money in order to go towards a purchase of a home and other expenses our family endures, to ensure that Amare can make every doctor appointment." She writes, "He's a miracle in my eyes and will always be my angel. We are appreciative to anyone who donates to support our family." She goes on to explain that some of the specific medical costs will be for chemo medicine and corrective surgeries, so that he may be able to live a more normal life. Candace's goal was $120,000. And the response has been astounding, even though it's only been about a week. As of January 8, 2022, more than $406,000 have been donated by over 11,000 people, with donations from $5 to $20,000 that was given by an anonymous donor.